Hey everyone, SweetJohnnyCage here, back with another guide for Elden Ring. This time I'm going to show you how to defeat Maliketh the Black Blade, as well as the Beast Clergyman, which is the phase before Maliketh starts. I want to show you how to get a very important item first, however, which will help you a good deal against Maliketh if you can time using it correctly. So the timing window is pretty tight, but it basically parries the boss for you, and then you can get a ton of follow-up damage. It has to be used at specific times, but that item is the Blasphemous Claw, and it can be found in Crumbling Faram Azula. We're going to start here from the Beside the Great Bridge site of Grace, and then you're just going to follow the path that I'm showing you, and then once you reach the treasure chest, you will get invaded by an NPC invader, and you need to kill this invader, and then he will drop the item automatically. So it's not actually in the treasure chest, it's on the invader himself. You can just cheese this invader, and there's no shame in my game when it comes to fighting NPC invaders, especially ones that can one-shot or two-shot me. What you can do is once he invades, just run back to the ladder, climb up, and then he will follow you. You do have to be careful because some of the beastmen can follow you as well, but once he reaches the top, just knock him off, either using a spell or a big weapon or something, and he'll fall down. And he won't really take any fall damage, but if you also mix in some poison or some scarlet rot or something, you'll just be able to cheese him to death, and he'll really never be able to touch you too much. And then once he's dead, he'll drop the Blasphemous Claw, and that's the item we're looking for. He also drops his armor set, which is quite nice. Then you can open the treasure chest and move on with the rest of the dungeon. So, let's get started on the fight, and we're going to begin with Phase 1, which is the Beast Clergyman. I start off this fight by popping a rune arc outside. I am using Rykard's Great Rune because I like the extra health and stamina that it gives. I find Beast Clergyman's attacks to be incredibly difficult to successfully kind of roll through, so I end up blocking a lot of them, and because they all drain a ton of stamina, the extra that you get from Rykard's Great Rune really comes in handy for me. Okay, so the Beast Clergyman has a variety of attacks. His right hand has a shiv, because I guess he just got out of prison. And then the left hand is an incantation hand that he will bury into the ground at various points and do different bestial incantations. So if you bought anything from Garank earlier on in the game, then he has basically Garank's full inventory, although I do not think that Maliketh is Garank. I think they're two different people. So when he digs his left hand into the ground and pulls it out, a ring of beast claws is going to come out. However, if you are far away from him when he buries his left hand in the ground, he can chase you down and drag his hand through the floor and then throw the beast claws at you. So if his left hand is in the floor, something is coming after you. If he drags it back in sort of like a backhand motion, he's going to pick up a rock, chuck it at you. If he drags it on the ground in a forehand arc, that means that he's going to throw like a series of stones at you. Those take a ton of stamina when you block, so you have to be very careful and just try your best to roll through them. If you ever get too close, he will dash away with a shiv attack, so you have to be very careful and just watch where he's going. He has a 1-2 swipe that he will always follow up with a very quick third, so he does 1-2, and then he can delay the third hit, or if you're super close to him, what he can end up doing is chucking a rock at you while he falls back. You notice there that he dug both hands into the ground that time after being up on his legs. When he does that, a huge earthquake is going to happen. He's going to rip stones out of the ground. Those are going to go up, and then a couple seconds later, they're going to fall down. However, it's not a complete 100% coverage AoE. Instead, it's actually in very specific areas, so if you do not see rocks coming out of the ground where you're standing, you are safe for the most part. However, when they fall down, you have to be aware of where that safe zone was, because sometimes you can end up getting clipped. So sometimes it's safer to just run out as the rocks are in the air, get some safe distance, watch them fall down. He will generally follow that earthquake move up. When he tries to get out in the dust, he will either throw a series of rocks at you, or he will just do sort of like a backflip kind of twist physical attack that you got to watch out for. Once the boss reaches about 60% HP, Maliketh the Black Blade is revealed. This boss is pretty crazy, but he's actually kind of easy to punish. You just have to know what to look out for. So you want to have the Blasphemous Claw ready to go, and whenever the boss's sword glows gold, it's very distinct. It's not just the gold particles coming off. It is an actual gold shine that comes off the blade for a second. When he is close to you, as that's happening, that's when you want to use the item. And then if you're successful, you'll basically parry the boss and you get a ton of damage on him. So it's right here. You saw the blade glow gold, and then you can go in for some extra damage. So you can kind of use it infinitely, I think. I use it twice in this fight, and I figured, you know what? This is a little too good, so let me show how to dodge everything else. When the boss does big, sweeping strikes, not these, it's when he goes up on his hind legs and starts twirling around. You may think that you're supposed to go in on him when he does that. You are not. The reason being is because he's going to bury his sword, very similar to what he just did there. So, you want to lock onto this boss, in my opinion, even though he does move a lot and he is a big boss, and generally my advice is to not lock on to big bosses. The fact is that you always want to have this boss in front of you. That's very, very important. Reason being is because all of his sword attacks will deal more or less blood flame damage to you, with the added benefit of it actually depleting your maximum HP. So you have to be very, very careful to avoid his big sweeping attacks. Whenever he buries his blade in the ground, it's going to explode and deal blood flame damage. You have to be very careful to avoid it. So, as you can see here, when he digs the blade in with both hands, big earthquake is coming. Be very careful with that. Eventually, the health reduction will wear off, but it takes a while, and the chunks that come off your health bar are so devastating that you may just want to try to get behind a pillar and heal up for a little bit before going back in on the boss. So, when he gets up on his hind legs and does big sweeps, do not go in because a big sword slam is coming, and you do not want to get caught in it. But as long as you stay relatively close to the boss and you roll through his big sweeping motions, you should be fine. The other thing I want to mention is that when the boss is flying around, he can stall in the air and shoot beams out of his blade. Those come in both vertical and horizontal fashions. Typically, he will do 2 vertical ones. You just roll to the left and to the right. And then for the horizontal ones, you just roll forward through those, and then you may be able to chase him down for a little bit of damage. But that's the fight. I personally found Maliketh easier than Beast Clergyman, just because you can sort of block a bit more with Maliketh. However, you are suffering a penalty for blocking, because every time he hits you with his blade, you get your HP reduced. So it's a little tricky, but the key is just stay close to him unless he is burying the sword in the ground. If he's doing that, an explosion is going to occur, and you don't want to be near it. The other big thing that you want to watch out for, and this is really the final thing, is that if you get knocked down by one of those blood flame attacks, what's going to happen is when you are paralyzed on the ground, your health bar will not be depleting. Your health will just stay the same. But as soon as you get up, your health will begin ticking down. So don't assume that just because you're on the ground and your health bar isn't moving, like that ticking damage is not occurring, that does not mean that it will not occur once you've recovered. So if you're able to get away from the boss after you get up, heal up, get back up to full, whatever full may be at that moment, because your health bar has been depleted, and then start going in again. You really don't want too much distance between you and this boss, because he can chase you down super, super easily. That's the fight. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll do my best to help you out. If you're looking for more guides for Elden Ring, please subscribe to the channel so you get alerted when new guides go live. If you're interested in supporting the channel monetarily, please consider becoming a channel member by clicking the blue join button below this video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and join my Discord. The links for those are in the description below. As always, I'm SweetJohnnyCage. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.